In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office.
Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phalen, a weekly program here on LSN Television. We're also carried by a number of radio affiliates here in Lancaster. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. This program is actually taped at Fairfield Christian Academy. Behind the scenes, our executive producer, Kelly Roberts, gets the guests lined up and a lot of the good questions. Back by popular demand, Deputy Shane Skeen.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Was with us last week. And Deputy Skeen takes care of registering our sex offenders and a host of other responsibilities that go along with that.
Yes, several.
What happens, well, first of all, for the folks that may have missed last week's program, just tell us a little bit about the sex registration program here in Fairfield County in the state of Ohio.
It's where residents of Fairfield County that have been convicted of an offense that requires them to register in the state of Ohio comes to my office and updates their information as far as address, cell phone, vehicles they drive. They give me open access to their life and tell me every change that has to be made or they're required by law to make.
And depending on the seriousness of the offense is how often they come to check in with you, right? And
Yep.
then some people, it's the rest of their lives, and then I think the shortest is what, 10 years?
It's 15 years.
15
yeah.
years.
Yep. 15
So anywhere
years,
from 15 years to life, depending on the seriousness of the offense.
Yes.
And the other thing that we talked about, and I think we want to talk about this a little bit before, or a little bit more this week, is about people that want to find out if they suspect someone's a sex offender, or how they get alerts, or how they can see who the number of offenders are in our county.
Yeah.
I know we have pictures on our website and those things.
We do. If you go to our website, and as you pull up the page, which our website's actually www.sheriff.fairfield.oh.us. And when you go on there, registered sex offender is at the top quarter of the page. It's a little blue button. And by going there, you can search, actually in several different ways. You can search by their name, or you can put your address in, and you can put a radius around your house of between 2 to 5 miles, and it'll pull up every registered sex offender that's around you. Now, if you live in the city of Lancaster and you put 5 miles, you're going to see that there's quite a few, because the circumference around your house is going to be the entire city of Lancaster.
Right.
But at the same time, if you sign up for email address or email notifications is what we call it. You can put your personal address, you can put your work address, you can put your parents' address. You can find out a lot of information in that way. We'll send you automatic generated email to tell you if someone moves within 2 miles of that residence.
Right, and then the other thing I think is worth mentioning again this week is just because someone's a sex offender doesn't mean they pose a danger, because you can have everything from someone that would pose a danger, like maybe a rapist, a child molester, to someone that when they were younger, maybe they were 18 and had a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old, they would
Right.
be part of the group that you're
By all means, and that's what we
monitoring.
have. Yeah, we have tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, a tier 3 is the worst. That is an individual that has to register for a lifetime.
Okay.
And that is someone that, and I don't want to categorize them, but that would be someone who would be more cautious to be around than, say, a tier 1. A tier 1 can be just as dangerous, don't get me wrong, however, less likely to reoffend and less likely, it may be a poor choice that they made as a younger child or younger adult.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that we talked about for airtime and for parents out there are what we call grooming. Where tell us a little bit about what we're talking about when we talk about grooming, and some things that parents may want to pay attention to.
Now grooming is what we call when you have a sexual predator or a tier 3 or basically a sex offender that is going to befriend your child or someone in the family. They're going to exploit the child's natural curiosity about sex. They're going to, but they're not going to do this right away. They're not going to meet him the first time. They're not going to say, hey, let's do this or let's do that. They're going to friend them first. They're going to spend a lot of time grooming them. This process could could be, depending on the child or depending on the person, the target, could be as soon as a month, but it could be as long as a year. It depends on the willingness of the victim, and they just use all kinds of means, whether they try to force influences by sending innocent pictures, what we would call innocent pictures, but they may see as not so innocent pictures, and they just progressively get worse and worse, and they use what the child or what the victim would feel is, well, I'm comfortable with. I've known this guy. I've talked to him online for the last 8 months. He would never do that, because they don't come out and ask for it right away. They groom them. They slowly, it's a pattern that they have over a long period of time.
And do most of the, when we're talking about children that are molested, most of the time they do know the perpetrators, right?
Yes, they do, actually. The victim is a known associate, if not a family member.
And one of the things that we see, and you can speak to this, is you'll see a woman that has children, and then some guy will move in, or a boyfriend, and then start spending a lot of time with the kids and interacting with the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had that case so many times I can't even think of to give a number. That's why I say it's good to know. You may not. I've had some people that I've known for years and didn't know that they were registered sex offenders until I became part of this program. Some of the people that there's not a look, there's not a personality. It can be anybody. And if you're in a new relationship, it doesn't hurt to search. It's not offensive. It's not something. I mean, it's not something. It was something I would want to know if I was going to have people around my children. I'd want to know who was around.
Right. And what happens? So they're to come in and check in with you periodically. What happens when they give you false information, or they haven't told you where they've moved, or they don't show up? Mm-hmm. What's the next step?
Well, then I start an investigation. I've done numerous investigations since I started in this one, and they are charged with a felony. It's actually a felony for them not to report as simple as their email address. They get in a lot of trouble for not reporting all that information to me.
And then, so you start an investigation, and they're actually criminally charged with that?
Yeah, they'll be criminally charged with a failure to register or failure to provide a change of address. I actually go out into the field several times a week and knock on doors, make sure people live there, talk to neighbors. I don't always go to the actual house that the people live at. I'll go to the neighbors and say, hey, have you seen this individual? Is he living there? Because I do have several a year that will give me an address but not live there.
And how, within the course of a year, how many people do you file charges on?
Last year was 9.
9?
Yeah.
And you have 145? Is
Yeah.
that 145 offenders?
Yep.
Okay, so certainly less than 10%.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not that great of a. Now my first year when I took over, I charged 16 in 1 year.
Wow.
So it was just a little house cleaning, and I got a lot of them. But now they kind of understand where I come from and what they need to do.
Right, right. Now, recently, or within the last year or so, you had a roundup with the marshals, right?
Yeah, we called it the compliance check. And what it is where we are required to go and visit the residences and make sure that they actually live there. We worked with the Hocking County Sheriff's Office, the Perry County Sheriff's Office, and the U.S. Marshals. And we had a week-long event. It was started out to be 3 days. We worked for a week, and we went to every door of every sex offender in all 3 of those counties.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
We had a nice team together, and it was very successful. Each county was over 90, every county was over 92% compliant.
So it's just a big blitz. You go out all together and find out, make sure they.
Yeah, we had 21 or 25 people on the first day. We started with Fairfield County. We sent them in groups of 4, and we went in all different directions in the county and knocked on all the doors.
Let's just change subjects a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the things that you're interested in, and is really starting to enter into law enforcement, is the drones. You have one personally. You've used it some for the office. Tell us a little bit about that.
A drone is just a multi-copter, or a quadcopter is what I have.
Mm-hmm.
It has 4 rotors. It flies. It has a video camera, and you can do video and still photography with it. There's a lot of, it's regulated by the FAA. I currently just obtained my 107, which is an exemption that allows me to do it commercially. Right. So now I can do it and get paid for it and do all these things. But I have a quadcopter. It's probably about the size of this table. I can fly it. Well, the stats say you can fly it for about 1.5 miles away, but the FAA requires you to keep it within line of sight.
Okay.
I can record. I can fly it up to 400 feet high.
Okay.
I can record video. I can maybe go look at someone's house from 400 feet in the air that take aerial pictures. I've done a lot of aerial pictures for real estate people.
And what would be some applications to law enforcement?
To law enforcement would be live video for, let's say, SWAT raids. I could actually park 2 blocks away from the place, take the bird up into the air, fly over to the area, and stream the video live to the SWAT truck as they're coming down the road to see if what's on the perimeter, what's there, what's not, and if anybody runs.
And so up until, I don't know, a year or so ago, you didn't have to register, but now you do?
Yeah, now you're required.
Why do they do that now?
Well, it's because of the FAA regulations. They don't want people flying these things near airports. They don't want people... Anytime you have something with technology, you've got someone that's wanting to use it for bad. We've had some at the prison. We've had drones used to drop drugs and other things into the prisons themselves. So now, if the drone would be knocked out of the sky for some reason or another, for a legal reason, they can take the registration off of it and they'll know exactly who it is.
Well, that's interesting, dropping it into prison yards and those kind of things.
It happens an awful lot right now.
It really?
Yes, they use that. They actually just did a skills game, and they used a drone to drop a football to the football players during the All-Star games and stuff, and they took the drone real high and dropped the ball, and they had to try to catch it. You can put arms, you can put all kinds of things on these drones to make them pick things up, drop things off. So yeah, it can be used for bad, but we in the industry would rather see it used for good.
So we're going to be looking at maybe getting one of these for the sheriff's office?
I would love to work with the administrators and draw up a proposal and get everything laid out to where we could actually have one.
It does make a lot of sense if you had some kind of a hostage situation. Maybe we didn't want the officers to get in right away. They could go around and even probably like a search for a missing person.
I was going to say search and
rescue
rescue.
Or something like that.
The field has really grown in search and rescue. We had a child that ran off a couple years ago, and luckily our canine was able to track him down really quickly. But when you're talking about a cornfield, I can fly over the cornfield at up to 47 miles an hour and be able to see into it with a live monitor a lot quicker than we can search a grid pattern and do all the things that we've done traditionally for years.
And what's the cost? One of these?
Well, a drone you can buy off of the shelf for $500, or you can get the pack, the setup that I have that's right around $5,000. Yeah.
We're just about out of time.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
Shane Skeen,
Thank
deputy, 23-year veteran with the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office and does a good job with the sex offenders. And
thank you.
And we'll have you back here in a year or so and kind of get an
wonderful.
update.
All right.
Well, the clock on the wall says we're just about out of time. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Again, this program is actually taped at Fairfield Christian Academy. I appreciate the students. Our behind the scenes executive producer is Kelly Roberts, lining the guests up each and every week. And again, I want to thank you, the viewers and listeners, and all the support we get within the Sheriff's Office from you. We get a lot of nice letters and cards and emails every day, and so it's certainly appreciated. Until next week, same time, same place, God bless, and we'll see you right here.